All right, so what do you want to talk about?
Well, I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I suppose we should start by talking about Carnival, huh?
Yeah.
So we've got a few people on here who are going,
Yes.
and so they probably
Yeah.
want to know what we're going to do. But I'll give a little bit. What I'll do is I'll give a little bit of backstory of. We've got basically sort of a slideshow, most of which is from last year's stuff that we got to see because actually this was my first year actually at Carnival, and it was your first year at Carnival, right?
Oh,
Wasn't it?
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. I had not been before.
yeah, it was brand spanking new to both of us. I mean, we'd both been to Oaxaca a jillion times, but not to Carnival. So, but yeah, so what I won't start the slideshow yet, but I just thought what I do is I just give a brief backstory about what Carnival is. So when Mija and I decided to do this, first off, we were trying to find a different time of year to do this other than Day of the Dead, because Day of the Dead is it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of festivities, but we decided to try and do it in a slightly quieter time. And even though there's a lot of festivities during Carnival, it's not like the sheer mayhem that Day of the Dead is such a lot of fun, but it's just sometimes it's just a lot of, woo. So
Yeah.
this is a little more relaxing, relatively speaking, as far as carnivals or as far as processions and things go. But the backstory with Carnival is like, as far as I can trace back, I mean, in my own research, in my personal research that I've done, as far as people can figure out, it started as sort of a pagan festival over in Europe, sort of a spring festival. Now, indigenous Mexicans had similar types of things. Well, most cultures had some sort of spring related sort of festivals. So, as with many things in the Oaxaca area and most of Latin America, if not all of Latin America, there is a merging of cultures and in many cases a clash of cultures, but from that comes new traditions. So Carnival in Oaxaca is sort of something like that, and in many cases it's sort of what I would say it is. Some people have said that it's a critique of the Spaniards who have moved in. So one of the places that we'll be going to and have gone to is San Martin del Cajete, and that you have the Oily Boys, which we'll pull up some photos in a little bit. But they're all devilly, and some people say, "Why are there so many devils?" Well, there were a whole lot of Spaniards running around would be one excuse. That's not all. That's not the only reason, but also I think that there's a beastly quality to this because really what this event is, uh, since it also has traditions in Christianity, it's right before you're supposed to give up stuff. You're supposed to, go on, you start fasting. It's sort of the feast before the fast, Fat Tuesday. That's essentially what Carnival is. So it's like, yay, I'm gonna eat and drink and dress up in horns and put oily things all over my body and because I won't be able to do that, in another day or so. That's basically in a nutshell, that's basically sort of what Carnival is. Was there anything you want to add to that plethora of thoughts?
Yeah, it definitely feels like the get all your yayas out before you have to
All your yayas?
before Lent or before you have to, be good for the next like 40 days or whatever. And it's very festive. And I'd say that's definitely a lot of what the devilish costumes have kind of come to represent as well. It's like your inner devil gets to play for the day.
Yeah, I mean, and like Mardi Gras, like,
Hmm.
Carnival in Brazil also. It's that that release is like, yay, spring is finally on the way. But you do have to give up something. I think that's the thing, though, is I think my metaphoric understanding of sort of things like Lent is like, well, all this good stuff's happening now, so you've got to sacrifice to be worthy of the good stuff happening. So before you sacrifice, you 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 yah it up, I guess, in your parlance. So, um, do we want to pull up some images and chat about stuff, or is there anything you want to chat about before I start pulling images and we blather on about some of the things we've seen?
I'd say let's just pull up some images and show people what they're gonna see.
Okay, so let's see here. We're gonna share. Yeah, this is really actually right by our hotel, isn't it, Mija?
Yes, uh-huh. Super
Uh,
close.
yeah, because this is sort of one of the things that happens is that we get a well, sort of the pre-festival parade. So one of the things that we're doing is we're going to the villages. Um, these guys, I'm guessing. So these guys have little, okay, so I want you guys to look and see those little things they're holding. Those are little eggs. They're like little wands. Looks and they're stuck in like a styrofoam ball is what it looks like. But a whole bunch of little eggs or little wands on them, and on the end of them are little eggs. And they're sort of like my understanding of them is they're sort of like Valentine's gifts. So that if you I'll see if I can zoom in. Okay, so right here. So these little guys right here, these decorated, highly decorated eggs, eggs on a stick. Don't eat them. Maybe you could. I don't know. They might be stuffed with something. But basically, the idea is that you would give those to your beloved, and it's sort of like a Valentine's gift, sort of a Carnival Valentine's gift. So, based on the fact that I see these egg things, chances are these guys are from Zachila, most likely, because this is a tradition in the village of Zachila, which I love Zachila because of these dudes, um, the Zancundos.
Yeah.
Wait, Zancundo? Zancunda.
Zancudo.
Zancudo. That's what it
Zancudos.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes, which the word translates to long legs, which also sort of translates to mosquito. But these are still walkers, but more importantly, they are still dancers. These guys are crazy time. Um, they're just a little backstory on these guys because I know we're trying to make this their celebration as part of this trip. So I know we're going to San Martin, which we'll have some images here in a minute, um, but this is another village that we want to visit this time that we didn't get to visit last time during their
Yeah.
festivities. But the story is, so people have asked, like, why is this village the stilt walking village? So, as the legend goes, San Pedro, St. Peter, shows up to some old dude in the village of Zachila. And this is just a village, I don't know, about half hour-ish out of the city of Oaxaca. And St. Peter shows up to this old dude and says, "Hey," and he keeps bothering him, and he keeps saying, "Hey," and then finally the villagers capture this apparition and put him in a cell, which isn't very nice. But they put him in a cell, and then he disappears, and they go, "Well, I don't know what that's all about." And then all of a sudden he pops up again to the old guy. He's like, "Look, I'm just here to protect your city." And you're like, "Oh, cool." And they're all like, "Yay, San Pedro, yay." And then he said, "Okay, so to honor me on my feast today," and I'm not sure what time of year the feast day is, you guys have to dance on stilts. And so that's where the tradition came from. Now, I've heard that potentially these had a practical use, though, that they were used to actually cross like small, low rivers and streams, arroyos, things like that. So that's not confirmed, but that is one rumor. So, but I love these guys. These are my fave.
I know. I love them too.
And
We
I
know,
have to
we know
say,
their
don't you, I
feast
mean
day
you've
too.
you've seen them dance. I mean, when they dance, they're like
Yeah.
crazy people. I mean,
Yeah.
they're like doing the hustle. I mean,
Yeah.
everything. I love it.
Yeah, that's super impressive what they can do on those stilts.
I know it's nuts. The first time I saw them was actually during Day of the Dead. Obviously, they don't limit it to just feast day, but uh, they were doing some. I don't remember what the band was playing, but they were just jamming. One Day of the Dead night. I don't know, 10 years ago maybe is when I first saw them, and I'm like, holy crap! They were just going at it. Speaking of dancers, here's another dancer.
Yeah,
These guys,
love these guys.
are not. You'll see these guys. These are from Putla Villa de Guerrero, and these dudes. I don't know. How would you describe these dudes? Do you want to describe these dudes?
Well, the Dancing Diablos is what they're best known as.
And they got
Um,
whips.
yeah, yes. Yeah, you gotta stand clear, take some distance from them because they do have their whips out. And what I've always been curious about is the scarves that they carry. Do
Oh
you know
yeah,
about the
yeah.
scarves?
I'd never really noticed the scarves before you mentioned that.
Yeah, they carry these scarves around and then they like wave them
Yeah. See,
around
this
as
guy's got
well.
one too.
And it's like, what? I don't understand what that's about.
Yeah.
We learned new stuff every time about all of the villages and their traditions and for their costumes like this. One thing that is so impressive to me is their masks. Their masks are so amazingly carved and painted. Um, yeah, they're
Yeah, these are all, and by the way, these
terrific.
are all wooden masks.
Hmm.
And there was a great display that we saw in Ocotlan, also actually just around the block from our hotel. Yeah, these are all carved out of wood. They're beautiful, and actually actual antlers too. I should mention that.
Hmm.
These
Yeah.
guys have a very definitive style of dance, though. And now, first off, this village isn't close. We've looked into maybe going there, but it's like 8 hours away. It's in the state of Oaxaca, but it ain't handy. But
Yeah.
they have a very erect sort of, I don't know how. Okay, you're more of a dancey person. How would you describe how they dance? It's like this very stiff, I mean, almost flamenco-esque
It
ish.
is because they keep their upper body like very still and yeah, like erect, like Michael said, but then their feet are just like moving all around and um, yeah, they're kind of sexy, is what I would say.
Hey, if you're into devils, man, I tell you, there's sexiness galore. Uh, Now it's time now we're heading to San Martin Tilcaete.
Mm,
This is the land of the oily boys. Here's a couple oily boys for you. A much younger oily boy. Um,
yeah.
Now San Martin is a blast. Um, so go ahead and describe the intro. In fact, what I might do is I might see if I can find the opening segment photos on here. One sec before I get to some oily boys. Okay, this guy I know for sure.
So when we got there, yeah,
Remember him, right?
yes, I remember him. When When we got there, we started where there is a procession beginning to gather and get ready to head towards the center of town. And it's basically like a mock wedding. And so this mock wedding
Oh,
takes
sorry.
place where we were at was at a taller de Alebrijes. So it was an Alebrije studio. And so they had kind of this mock wedding. Even they were bringing people that were there bringing gifts that you would give like a wedding couple, like live turkeys, you know. Um, and
Yeah.
and so the festivities began there, and then the mock wedding couple then start the procession down to the Zocalo of San Martín Tilcajete, and then everyone follows. But then people are all dressed up as you know, who are following along, including the oily boys, los aceitados, and they are covered in primarily like motor oil. Some of them will be in different colors too. You'll see them in like reds or yellows,
Yeah, I know
and
photos.
they are. they're those are oils, but they're like a vegetable oil, like mixed with a pigment. Yeah, you see some of these guys here,
Yeah,
mixed
these
with a
guys, this
pigment.
is a healthier oily boy. They,
Yeah.
they're the non-motor oil oily boys.
We worry about those kids uh all covered in motor oil.
Yeah.
But they're very mischievous too. They like to come around and give you hugs and like touch your face. So
Yeah, I
get a
didn't put
hand
the
mark
photo. I
on
didn't put
your
the photo
face
of I
of
didn't put the
oil.
photo of Sue. So there's one thing I would since we have some people on here who are going this year. What I would recommend is make sure you wear something the day we go out there. Wear something that you won't mind if you
Yeah.
brush up against an oily boy. Now, I was trying to avoid the oily boys. But the problem is you want a good photo, so you're kind of nestling up against them to try and get a good photo. So you're gonna get your chances are you're gonna get
Yeah.
oiled. So
Yeah.
throw on your painting clothes the day we go out
They
there.
say it's good luck. So,
Oh yeah,
if you
see,
get
there you
hugged
go.
by an oily boy, it's good luck.
They say that in like the red light district of a lot of places too, but I don't know that that's yeah. So that was fun. That because one of the things that I loved about that experience because you start at that little hacienda
Mhm.
and then you just sort of walk down the street and then as we walked well street I don't know a path cobblestone I mean part cobblestone part dirt road and
Mhm.
as you wander you start gathering people
Yeah.
and
Pe- People
different it's
join
like you're
in
going
along the
down
way.
different houses and all of a sudden the parade's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and let's see if we got.
Most
Oh,
of the time you
here's
follow
an
the
idea.
music because there's a little band.
Yep.
It's gonna be playing and you follow them. They're leading the procession.
So I went into this shot. This is actually sort of at the culmination. This is down at the square where everybody ultimately leads to this shot with all these people. That little that little shop behind them that they're standing next to. I went in there to grab a Coke or something, and I asked them if they sell a lot of if they're selling a lot of stuff today, and they go, yeah, we're selling a lot of soap, and so so that was really funny. So,
Makes perfect sense.
let's see, let me just go through some of the other ones here. I know we have so many, but these
Mhm.
are these are not from San Martin. These are from the Oaxaca area. But that parade, which happened what about 4 days, 3 or 4 days before the one in
Yeah.
San Martin?
A few days before. So there were two parades that took place in town. We're fortunate enough, our hotel is near the starting point of the parade. So it was great because we got to see everyone before they were heading down to the Zocalo. Um, and it was fun to see everyone gathered. And there were groups from several different villages. So you will see really different kinds of um, costumes and traditional dress that pertains to either their village or Carnival specifically during this time of year for them. And that's part of what was really, really fun because you'll see um, really unique. Like this, I had never seen this
The feather hat?
feathered head guy. Yeah, with the little tiny mask and the big feather cap. I had never seen these guys
I
before.
don't know that I've seen it until you sent me this image. I mean, I
Oh,
was
really? You didn't see
yeah,
them
I didn't
in
see
the
that. I didn't
plaster?
see that dude. I mean,
Yeah,
because well, you know how it is with these parades. It's like
it is. There's so much going on.
yeah,
So much
but
to see.
tons. So let's see, what else do we have? I think we've got these are from. I think this is. Oh, we've got the musicians.
Yes,
Music every year. So this is what's
yeah,
funny though. So
lots of bands.
this is what's funny to me though. So I say that this is a quieter time of year for Oaxaca, and it is. Because I mean, I don't know, you went to Oaxaca one of the early years that I started it, and I'd been
Mhm.
going to Oaxaca maybe 10, 15 years prior to that. And it's weird because other than it's just a different vibe there during Carnival.
Yeah.
There's activity when you want there to be activity and calm when you want there to be calm. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's not quite during Dia de los Muertos, there's just so much going on, like every night,
perpetually. Yeah.
days ahead of time and all around the holiday. Uh, and for this, for Carnival, it's really very much centered around the day. There's a little bit going on in the city ahead of time, but really, there's not like the fireworks every night and all of that going on. Luckily, so we it's and just the city, there's not quite as many people there during this time, so the city in between the festivities is just a little more mellow. Um, and
And I
it's
mean, I mean, and I don't want to sound like I don't like being there during Day of the Dead because
oh
I
yeah,
love being
no.
there during Day of the Dead. It's just what I found happens in Day of the Dead. I find that I explore different neighborhoods,
Hmm.
because I know if I go, I do all my hanging out in the city during the day, and then like at nights I'll go to different neighborhoods where it's quieter, if I don't want to deal with crowds. So
Yeah.
it's forced me to look into different areas I found.
Yeah,
But
which is great because all the
yeah.
neighborhoods have their own festivities as well.
Especially these days. I
Hmm.
mean, Haladlako, which is a cute little neighborhood, that wasn't really that big of a deal, when I first
Hmm.
started going there. Where was that photo? I want to find a photo here of, oh, where's he at? Here he is. I love this guy. This is in San Martin. Um,
Yeah. Oh,
this
that guy was
dude.
super fun.
This was great. So San Martin del Cajete, I should mention, this is the village where all the Oaxacan wood carvings come from. I'll pull up another image just to show you in comparison. So you might recognize some of these types of things. These days, back in the olden days, when I first started going to Oaxaca, they were much more basic style of painting, but that's really evolved with, well, really Jacobo and Maria Angeles were really the ones that sort of pushed it into this really fine, detailed direction. But one of the things that's cool about going to San Martin is because this is the wood carving Alebrijes place, you get these crazy outfits that sort of relate to that to some degree. This guy,
Mhm.
the videos are hard to show on these live things, but this peacock thing, he walks down the street and it's more of a cape, and then it sort of flaps up into this peacock thing. So
Yeah.
he
You can
just
kind
looks
of
like
see
a
it's
guy with,
tied to his wrists.
yeah, and they just sort of whop, and that
Hmm.
was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So since we're on the San Martin del Cajete thing, we might as well. Here's a nice little place.
Yes. So this place that we went last year is actually the taller, the studio of like the main or first female woodcarver. She has a great story where um, her father was a carver, and traditionally it is the men who do the carving and the women who do the painting. And she really wanted to learn how to carve, and he wouldn't teach her. He would teach her brothers, but she would just learn. She learned on her own, and she started creating her own um, pieces and even selling them. And once she started making her own money and then she had her own money, her parents were like, "Where are you making money? How are you making money?" And she had to fess up that she was carving and selling alebrijes on her own. And after that, she kept working with her brother primarily, and then her husband, and other family members, and then created her own studio. And so it was really great to be able to meet her. And she is the master carver of that studio. And she's teaching other young women how to carve as well. So yeah, it was great to be able to see her and learn about their process. I mean, the process of creating these wood carvings is really extensive. It takes months before you even get to the point where you can paint them. Um,
This is not from her studio, but
no,
this is from another studio, that we've gone to. I
yeah,
think
these
these
are
are
a
from
couple
this.
other different studios that we've been to
Yeah.
as well. but you can see I mean, I love this photo where you can see all of the different kinds of carvings of the different animals. A lot of them are kind of mythical type creatures. Um, they're really, uh, they're really starting to create more what are they called tonales, which are like their dream animals or their protector animals in the Zapotec culture, because people are asking for them more. And yeah, it's but a lot of them are kind of mythical creatures. They're not they'll be like elephants or rabbits or whatnot, but they'll also be combinations of like rabbits and snakes or winged creatures and things like that. So,
Well,
but they,
one of the things that like because I won't go into the whole. I've talked about the Alebrijes story of where it came from, but I'll just briefly mention that Alebrijes is a term that to many people these days it's associated with these things here. And that's
Mhm,
not entirely accurate. The
right.
term originally started with paper mache in Mexico City. So a true Alebrijes originally, and there's some fight over it, started from Pedro Linares in Mexico City from a fever
Mhm,
dream, and and he'd imagined these crazy things.
mhm,
Then in the late 70s, early 80s, there was a filmmaker who came to Oaxaca area. Pedro Linares was one of the artists featured, but there was like Manuel. I'm trying to remember I'm trying to remember let's see if I can find the name of the guy, the carver. But anyway, there was a carver from San Martin Telgete because prior to that, they weren't doing all this painting. They were just doing the carving.
mhm.
These guys in this village saw the painting and they go, cool, we're going to start painting them. And then this sort of art form sort of is a fairly new art form. I mean,
Yeah.
relatively speaking.
Mhm.
Some of their shtick might indicate otherwise. You might come across a slightly unscrupulous saying, oh, we've been doing this sort of style painting for thousands of years. But the truth is, these days, they in some ways, they're correct, though, because a lot of their design work is that they're using
Mhm.
designs that were from ancient times. So what they've done is
Yeah.
they've merged their wood carving skills with some ancient designs. Because like when you look at some of this, you might see sort of Zapotec designs,
Yeah.
sort of we woven in there.
Yeah.
But
Some of the same designs that you would see in weavings, that you'd see on in archaeological sites, that you'll see in yeah, ancient cave paintings, like all kinds of different symbols that they're now incorporating into the paintings on the Alebrijes. And they have meetings and they'll um, tell us about them as well.
yeah, well, and then speaking of which, we might as well move to a weaving village. Here we go.
Yeah.
San Antonino, right?
Yes. So yeah. No, this is Santo Tomas
Oh,
Haliesa.
okay, that right.
Yeah, Santo Tomas
Backstrap.
Haliesa, which is best known for um, backstrap loom weaving, which
Yeah.
is more um, a more traditional or more original form of weaving in this area. And what they do is they tie their loom to a tree in the center of their home. This is the Navarro family. And they're these it's a family of, let's see, three sisters and their mother, um, and Mariana, and they're been recognized all over the world for their weavings. Their weavings are have won awards, and Crispina, especially pictured there, she's done some really intricate work that has won lots of awards. But they're really fabulous, and they have been doing this all their lives. I mean, they spend hours every day creating weavings in their home, and they have a beautiful home,
It
and I
was
love
well,
to watch them.
what was that thing we had heard? Somebody was mentioning how the talking about the copyright essentially. I don't remember if it was on Apala or whatever, the copyright of the
Mm.
design patterns. You can probably elaborate on that.
The design patterns are specific to each village. for as far as the weavings go. You see this in other areas too, like in San Cristobal, it had a lot of it has to do with not just the weavings, but the embroidery designs in their clothing. And this is what I've, from what I've heard from people who are familiar with textiles, this is pretty common that there'll be designs specific to villages and that they kind of protect them, even if someone from that village marries someone in another village, they're not able to share their village's designs in the village that they marry into. So they definitely like to keep them protected and specific to their village.
Was this? Oh, this was the painting from the.
Yeah.
This was like the brother, right? Or the.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Gerardo. These are his paintings. He's a self-taught painter, but he creates these beautiful, kind of surrealistic paintings. I have a few of him because a few of them I just
They're
really
very
love them.
sexyful. Some of them are very explicit. This is not one of the explicit ones.
No, they're all over the map. He has some that are very sensual, and he has some that are definitely like visions, like this, very much about their culture, um, and uh, they're very colorful. They have a really great folk art painting quality about them, and
Yeah, that's that magical, that sort of magical realism, that sort of
yeah.
thing that's so. I remember. This was like right before I went to Oaxaca. I remember there was an exchange when I lived in Missoula, Montana, with um, Missoula printmakers going to Oaxaca and Oaxaca printmakers going to Missoula. And we had the director of, can't remember which museum in Oaxaca, come to the museum in Missoula talking about how most of the artists that she represents wouldn't know how to do an artist statement because
Mm.
you're trying to describe how you're trying to describe something that's not describable in words. The reason you paint, for instance, is because that's how you say everything you want to say. The words are using a totally different medium that can't speak the same way. And so
Right.
the idea of an artist statement or describing what a piece is about, and that was always one of the things I found I love that concept because, how would you describe this? Well, you can put so many verbs and nouns together and, but it doesn't really say what it's saying, right?
The truth of the matter is it's another form of communication in itself.
Yep.
Yeah, love that.
All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's oh well, okay, just on the other down in other valley, we'll head down Teotihuacan. This is a great
Yeah,
photo. I love.
I know. I love that family. Teotihuacan del Valle is known for the loom weaving, the big loom weaving, where they do a lot of the big rugs, and it's wool. They do weaving with wool, much of which they will card and dye and spin themselves. And that's what you see behind her in that photo, is a lot of yarn that has been wool spun yarn that has been dyed with cochineal, which is a parasitic bug that grows on the cactus there that they collect and then grind into a pigment and uses a dye.
I think don't we have some cochineal on this in the probably
Yeah,
right
it looks
here.
like it. I think that is the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't. Oh no, actually, it's in
Oh
that
wait,
large
this
bowl
is
right
this is
there.
it.
Yeah, because it
That's it
doesn't
right
look
there.
red
Yeah.
until you grind it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so yeah, it's we visited a few different weavers there and to see their process. What's great is to see in a lot of these families that these these are generational traditional art forms, and the children are learning them, their kids are learning them, and continue to pass them on. This last year, what we did was we were able to take Reboso's shawls that they had woven out of a just a white wool fiber, and then they showed us how to dye them. So instead of dyeing the yarn and then weaving it, it was already woven, and then we were able to take those, and they taught us some dyeing techniques.
We did some hippie tie dyeing.
Yeah, we did some hippie tie dyeing in Oaxaca.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
um, which was super fun. It was definitely something different we hadn't done before, and they were just such a lovely family. Um, what we find so often is people are just really so warm and love sharing their culture with us. They love showing us these beautiful art forms uh, that they carry proudly and love to share with us. So people
Yeah,
are
it is. It
very
is pretty.
generous.
It is pretty. It is pretty amazing. You know, you would sort of think that after seeing however many tourists over the years, that there'd be a sort of a jaded, you know,
They would be tired of
here we go again.
it.
But
No,
it
and
is.
yeah, so this is a pedal loom that she's using. It's the big wooden pedal loom where they do the larger weavings with primarily with wool.
Yeah, and that was, and let's see, this was this the same? That was the
Yeah, the
same. This was the
same
same village, right? Yeah,
same family. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
yeah.
So compared to the
Quédate
backstrap
en
loomers, though, so
Underlay.
you had like this is more the
And the pedal
industrial,
loom
heavy
came with
duty.
the Spaniards.
Yeah, so this came with Spaniards, right? They were doing
Yeah.
that prior, right?
Yeah, the
Uh,
backstrap loom
backstrap
weaving they
loom.
were doing prior, and the pedal loom came with the Spaniards.
As you can tell, Mija is the textile person in the team here.
I and I'm no expert by any means, but I do love them, and um I listen when I listen up when they're talking.
All right, so on the same trip, we went to Lacalula.
Yeah, we
Who's my
went to
baby?
their market,
Yeah,
and so there's a few different markets,
I mean,
village markets.
such a great market.
Yeah,
You know what was
Tlacalula
killer
is
though?
one of the
Okay, so
best.
I've been to this market, I don't know how many times, right? And of course, everybody's, oh, watch your bags, pickpockets everywhere, type of thing. Well, that's true with any market anywhere in the world. But I mean, maybe not Safeway, but let's say the thing is, when I've been here during Day of the Dead, is usually right before Day of the Dead.
Mm,
It's a friggin' zoo. I mean, and because when I mean, it's so packed, but it was
yeah,
so nice.
yeah.
We went there. I mean, it was like, wow, this is comfortable. I can walk through here and look at,
Oh
oh,
yeah. Well,
that
during
was
Day
just,
of the Dead, they're gathering all of their food and flowers and everything for all of their festivities and for the meals that they're going to have with their families and all that. So it is super busy during Day of the Dead. So it wasn't like that this time of year. It
yeah, it was
was
pretty, it was very pleasant, I thought. And in terms of market stuff,
yeah.
I thought, um,
Tlacalula is like the oldest market in Oaxaca. I'm Colleen might remember. I think this is like one of the oldest markets in the Americas or
well, it makes sense because it's right by what Tlaquechihuaya, the
yeah.
which is like one of the oldest churches in the area, also.
Mm. We went to the church in Tlacalula, which is where the market is, and it's one of my favorite churches
Let's see, hold on, let
for
me.
sure.
These photos that you sent me, these are from that church, right?
Yeah, from
Okay.
Tlacalula.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that has the 12 apostles, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
I'm a
Um,
sucker for those
yeah, you
sucker for
love all
those
those stories.
semi-relief painted things. I love
Oh
them.
yeah. And all the wild stories about each of them,
Yeah.
how they came to sainthood.
Yeah, it was kind of it was deception on the Spaniards' part, but in some ways, oh, here's the axe guy. I love this axe guy. I can't
Yeah,
remember which one he is, axe and knife guy. Um, the
right?
because the Spaniards thought they were sort of tricking the indigenous people, like, oh, okay, we're gonna make you're gonna worship outside, and because that's what you like to do, and so
Hmm.
sort of luring them into their religious traditions, which they did, out of trying to avoid pain of death, no doubt, but at
Hmm.
the same time. They were very the indigenous people of the region were also kind of sneaky because in some of these churches, not this one necessarily, in some of these churches, they have found when they've done restoration in the walls there would be hidden idols from their previous deities,
Hmm.
so that when they would go to church, they would still be true to their old gods. And then even some of the design work, and I'm not sure if it's true with this particular church, but even some of the design work is not dissimilar from some of the design work in the Mesoamerican motifs.
Mm.
And the Spaniards didn't really notice. They just thought, oh, here's some nice designs. We'll use this. But the indigenous people were intentionally, in some cases, using it. So it
Oh
just
yeah.
made their so they were still being true to the old gods. And then of course eventually the saints were representations of deities from their or entities from their
Hmm.
previous, you know, Virgin Mary, is
Oh
the
yeah.
ancient is the ancient
Pablo, our
Virgin.
guide, he talks about a lot of these sorts of things with us. He tells us he's been a guide for over 40 years, and he's from Oaxaca, and his father was one of the first guides in Oaxaca. Well, he's incredibly knowledgeable, and he tells us a lot of the stories um, about that time when the Spaniards came and the indigenous people were still um, were yeah this time of the transition between, especially around because Mitla, the archaeological site of Mitla, was still a booming city when the Spaniards came in the 1500s. It was a huge city, and he talks about like a lot of that transition time, a lot of the ways that things shifted and changed, and it's incredibly interesting. Yeah, he's
Yeah, it's I mean
incredibly
it's
knowledgeable.
so it he's such a great guy. I was so sad that I know we're working with him again.
Yeah,
He keeps
yeah.
retiring and then we get to see him again.
He
So
keeps trying
I'm
to
glad we're still seeing him. So
he keeps trying to retire. His wife Araceli would love for him to fully retire, but he just can't seem to stop. But yeah, we're lucky to be working with him again this year.
there's Karen. Karen's
Yeah,
been to many a Oaxaca trip, mostly Day of the Dead, but she's been to many a Oaxaca trip. Where was this taken? Was this?
that's in Halitlaco
Oh, okay.
neighborhood. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, she's coming again this year. Her
Yep,
and
she'll be
Sharon
there.
for Carnival again, which is great.
Let's see what else we got here. I think we just
Yeah,
have some.
Halit
Oh, okay.
Laco is it's a great neighborhood. Definitely kind of an up and coming neighborhood. And we're going to do a mural tour in that neighborhood this year.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a lot of fun. Is this Halidlaco?
Where, no, I think that's San Martin Tilcajete.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I know that I was going through some of the images and I'm like going, I think I know where that. No, I don't know where that is. So yeah.
Yeah.
But though I mean that is the thing that really has evolved in the last 20 years for sure. The whole street art thing has
Yeah.
become so much more sophisticated than it used to be.
Hmm.
Um, let's see.
Yeah.
Well, this is
Muralist.
not so much street painting, but or kind of is. Yeah, this
Well,
is
actually, that is at Subterráneos.
yeah.
Which they do. They're responsible for a lot of street art in Oaxaca, primarily Oaxaca City, but they're doing stuff even in Mexico City and all over.
They're in Halidlaco now, right?
They're very close, really right on the outskirts of Halitlaco
Yeah.
and neighborhood, and it's a printmaking collective. So we'll definitely be visiting them as well. I love taking people there, and they also do printmaking. By Elise. They also do printmaking workshops. If anybody wants to take a printmaking workshop, this is from their studio.
They yeah, because they really got their boost back during the strike years.
Yeah,
Um,
that's when they started. That's kind of
yeah,
when they began.
I don't know what 10 years ago ish plus.
Yeah, it's been even it's more than that. Even
Yeah.
and they've given us a great presentation that kind of talks about how kind of printmaking and street art or printmaking as street art has evolved in the last, 15 years in Oaxaca City, because you see it a lot now, all over the city, all over city walls.
Yeah,
A
and
lot
that's
of
what's
them,
cool about Subterraneo too is that because the stuff they do is technically not, you're not supposed to put,
yeah,
stuff on the side of bait on buildings, right?
hmm
So in the
illegal.
cover of night, you'll see a new thing pop up,
Hmm.
and that's sort of a wheat paste thing is what a lot of their stuff is.
Yeah.
So they can slap it up really quick, and it's like, oh, a new design's coming up tonight. Okay,
Yep.
and then they'll.
So yeah, you'll walk through town, and Once Bare Wall will now have these really intricately carved and printed pieces on them, and some of them are huge. Some of them are, like 8 feet tall, and they have these really large presses.
All right, this was last
Looking
year's
at here.
class.
Yes,
We had a small group last year.
we
We
did.
had our first year,
It was our
so
first year in Carnival.
yes.
There for Carnival.
Yeah, we had a great class though. It was a lot of fun. All right, so I think that's it for the slides that I have. So I'm gonna stop sharing screen and we can get back on. There we go. So perhaps what do you want to mention anything about the ITIN?
Yes, yes.
What do you want to mention? What do I need to know?
What do you need to know? Have you even looked at the itinerary, Michael? Do you know what you're doing?
I don't know. I usually just show up. It's like, what day am I teaching? Okay, and then I go,
Exactly.
am I teaching today? No, we're going on a field trip. Okay, cool. All right. Yay.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty much how it goes. Um,
Is there a
so
bar? Is there a bar that's close to where we're going? Okay, good. All right. Yeah.
the important things, the
That's
important
right.
things.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so this year we're one of the places we're going to go is to San Agustin Etla, really beautiful village, about a half hour, a little bit more outside of Oaxaca City. And we're going to visit Marietta Bernstorff, and she's been living in Oaxaca for a while, but she does a lot of projects primarily empowering women in the arts. And so she's done some really great projects, a big like worldwide patchwork quilt project that women can contribute to. And also, she's worked with these women in San Francisco Tanivet, another village in Oaxaca, outside of Oaxaca City. And this she started working with these women, and what had been happening is, as is happening all over Mexico, a lot of people in the smaller villages, the young people or the men, are heading out to trying to go to the United States to find work and find other opportunities. And so in San Francisco Tanivet, a lot of people had left, like husbands and children, and a lot of the women were there just trying to keep their homes and village alive. And but they're all very sad. They're grieving, the loss of their family members. And so she brought art to them, and kind of she did lots of different things with them. But what really took was embroidery and patchwork, textile art. And so this collective of women in San Francisco Tiny Vet have now been doing this for well over a decade, and they've been showing their work in the United States and as well as in Mexico. And so we're going to actually meet some of these women as well and see some of their work. And a lot of them really tell stories about the experiences of their village, and also having losing their family members and things like that. It's powerful, powerful work. So I love that she's worked with them. She's going to talk to us about those projects and as well. Also in San Agustin is this amazing uh, uh, well, it's an art center that what used to be an old textile mill, that Francisco Toledo, very well-known Mexican artist who just passed away recently, he created. And so there's usually really amazing exhibitions going on there as well. And then
That's such a cool.
also
That's
in
such a
some,
cool place.
it is.
It's so
The
weird to
building is
be out there
amazing.
too because it's like you have sort of a certain, I don't know, climate, sort of
Mm,
terrain in the city, right?
mm,
And then you go out there and it's like you've just gone to a totally different country because it's so lush, and
yeah.
I mean, and you're not that far away. It's wild because you're kind of towards the hills and you're like, hey, I'm in a jungle now. What happened?
Yeah, it is. It's very, very lush and green there. And actually, a lot of water that is used in Oaxaca City comes from the area of San Agustinetla. Uh, but there's also a really wonderful paper maker there, Alberto Valenzuela, who we'll meet, and he's really animated, and we'll get to go to their paper making studio.
Cool. Yeah.
And
But
that's one of the days that and then we'll also be going to San Martín del Cajete specifically for Carnival and to experience the procession there and all the festivities that happen down in the Zocalo, the mock wedding, all of that is happening. All of the oily boys, all of the the costumes, and we just get to be a part of all of that. And then we'll go to where we'll be in San Martín till Cajete, and we'll stop into some Alebrije talleres, and then we'll also head to uh we're gonna go see the Aguilar family of potters, very well known
I
ceramicists.
see Marilyn
I know
clapping.
Marilyn's clapping.
Marilyn knows that she's like, yay. The Aguilar family, they're so, I mean,
Mm,
I don't know. I stumbled across them the first time I went to Oaxaca. I mean, not I didn't trip over them or anything, but I just came across, I was looking for, actually I was looking for ex votos, little
mm,
replicas of ex votos. And anyway, I'd hired a cab for the day and I go, hey, what's out here? And they go, well, I don't know. There's a place you should check out. And I go, okay, cool. And so that's how I came across them
fun.
years ago. And at the time they were
Amazing.
doing all the different, they're still doing some of it, but at the time they had 10 different um, paintings of Frida Kahlo, but like in ceramic form. So,
Mm,
the broken column one, and they had the
mm,
deer one, and they had all the little,
yeah.
all the different ones, and they'd have like, and I can't remember which of the sisters was doing them, but it was really cool. The big
Mm,
agave plant ones. So,
yeah. Oh,
but
and the ceramic art is really beautiful. It really tells stories about the culture. That's one of the things I really love about their work. They're intricate. They really talk about, both indigenous culture and contemporary culture. They're really fabulous pieces. And I'm
well,
hoping that,
now it's such a generational place to go visit
oh yeah,
because it's like now it's like, oh, and here's the sons and here's the kid, all the kids are doing stuff now,
yeah,
it seems like, and
yeah, and
um
have become, really renowned artists themselves,
yep,
which is pretty amazing. Yeah.
yep,
And so we'll stop by there and see them, and then we'll also I'm hoping we'll have time to visit Santo Tomas Aliesa as well. Yeah,
cool. I know we're hoping we can find Zachila Stiltwalker
yeah,
guys. I know that's one of the things we're gonna try and fit in there if we can figure out if there's some sort of problem with trying to figure out a schedule with
I
some of the
know.
villages is always a little challenging, but
It is. Sometimes you don't know what's happening when until like the day before.
yeah.
So
Yeah. So, and then because I know the other thing, I don't know if this is something we'll probably have for those, the attendees will probably might have a better sense of when the Carnival parade. So,
Mhm.
because that was kind of like, I can't remember last time it was sort of like it popped up. I think we had word that was happening, but we didn't know what was happening exactly. I'm trying
Mhm.
to remember. I don't even know if the one we saw was the formal one or not, but do you remember?
Yeah, they were both scheduled. They were
Okay, they were.
both the
Okay.
ones we saw were scheduled. Yeah.
Okay. Because I
Hmm.
know, and I mean, it's like anything there. It's like you're going to run across a parade, and half the time you don't know is like, is this part of the event? I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Or it might be a school or an organization who's
yeah,
decided they wanted to be part of the festivities, and then
yeah.
they
The nice thing about where we're at these days, I have to say, I mean, it didn't used to be this way. Um, pre-strike era, before the whole era of the teacher strikes, which sort of pushed a lot of the city events actually towards our hotel. And
Hmm.
I'm very appreciative of that
Yeah.
because it seems like a lot of the parades start literally around the block from our hotel most of the
Yeah.
time.
Within a
And
couple
you
blocks
can
of the lead.
hear,
Yeah.
we'll be in the classroom and you can hear, wait, I hear a tuba. Uh,
Exactly.
and then right in the middle of a demo, everyone goes running out. Because I just can't match a tuba and
Yeah, you're not
a bunch
nearly
of
as exciting as a parade mice.
taliches.
Sorry. Taliches.
Mija loves the taliches. I don't know what I have against taliches. Taliches are the rag. They also come from the same village as the wooden carved mask guys, the devils.
Mm.
The same village as that. Um, but they're just covered in torn rags, and they sort of spin around and make this.
They have like a big mask and a big like if wearing a big hat and they twirl around. I love those guys. They're very colorful. That's probably why. They're
I
very
think the reason
silly.
I don't like them is they remind me of clowns from like circuses and things. I want something a little more dramatic than just some little silly guy
Hmm.
twirling around. I don't know. Some people like the taliches. I'm not as, I mean,
I love them.
you love the
They're
taliches.
so fun to me.
All right, what else we want? Anything else we want to talk about? Or did we cover
Mm.
all the bases?
I think so. Does anyone have questions? I'd say
Yeah.
that especially we've got lots of folks here who are actually coming. So
Yeah. Yeah, if anybody wants to jump in, those who are coming, just unmute yourself. And I see Solange has unmuted herself. Hello, Solange. Yes, you in the
Hello.
front row.
Yes. Well, I'm wondering what time we will have for the workshop.
Well, fortunately we have a fair amount of time. So
yeah.
Good.
that's kind of the nice thing. There will be plenty of time for the workshop.
Mhm.
I'm trying to remember, let me look at
We've
the
got 4 days scheduled for the workshop.
yeah. So
Yeah.
there's actually 4 days. So,
Mm.
and me, it's sort of like I try and arrange it so that most of the demo stuff happens in the morning. And
Mhm.
then the afternoon, when if people decide to come back after lunch, or they can work into the evening, and if they choose to, or if they want to, after class is over, you can certainly work in the classroom. And that's kind of the nice setup there. It's that
It
whole.
is a nice setup. Are you in the double room still?
Did we get are they giving us a double room this time? I don't think we've asked.
Um, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we've asked about it. I mean, it seems like now we're just expecting to get the double
I
room.
know exactly.
I mean, last year for Carnival, we didn't need it because we only had, I don't know, 8 students or something.
Yeah, we had like nine folks, so
But we might. I don't
Mhm.
know. Well, either way, it's I don't know. We might have the double room. Right now, we don't have the enrollment that Day of the Dead does. So so it's
Okay.
still going to be
yeah.
comfortable workspace regardless.
I I like the single room because you're closer to each other. You
Yeah.
don't have as much space to work, but you can chat and see other people's stuff. And in the larger room, everyone's quite far away from you. So I kind of
I
like
no,
the
I get it. The
yeah.
reason, it's funny, the reason we started doing that was because of Andrea's when Andrea
Yeah.
and I did the
Yeah,
duo
she needed
class.
the room. Yeah.
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 And then we get kind of spoiled. But also Day of the Dead is, we're sort of pushing the envelope of how many people we have in there. So that's the other
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
Well,
humans
whatever.
with it.
It'll be
Yeah.
good.
Well,
Yeah.
we're either going to have the big room or we'll make everybody huddle around in a smaller group. So we could do it. We could arrange the tables in a big circle.
There
Oh,
you go.
oh, okay.
Yeah. The biggest thing with there is just, and this is something, since some of you are here, if you happen to have one of the challenges in some of the spots in that room is the lighting. And Marilyn is going, yep, I know, because you had the shitty spot last time.
I did, and I forgot. I probably need to get a travel light to put it.
If you can find, and they sell them pretty cheap now. They're not very big, but if you have access to a travel light, folding one or just a little something, I'd say bring it because the lighting
Mm,
in that room is inconsistent. There are some
yeah.
spots that is great and other
Hmm.
spots that it totally sucks. So,
Hmm.
if we have the double room, you have a little more we'll have a little more room for you to pick your spot. But yeah, if you have room in your luggage, I'd say, throw a little portable
Yeah.
light in there, cheapy one, and I
Yeah.
think cheapy cheapy one will be handy. So,
I
uh,
agree.
all right. Anything else anyone wants to add to that?
Do you want to talk about about what people will be making? Well, it's
Um,
on the website.
yeah, it's on the website.
Hmm.
What we're going to be doing, those who don't know, what we're going to be doing is we're going to do shrines um, of uh, basically a sort of an altar out of whatever sort of thing you want. It could be small, could be very intimate, could be cigar box, could be giganto, depending on how much luggage you want to bring, right? But the idea is we're going to make a shrine out of found objects and whatever, and because mostly in honor of San Martin del Cajete, um, since that place is all about spirit animals, it's such a common thing for that this event in general, but specifically, I would say for that village. Um, I thought that doing sort of I guess it would be paganistic interpretation of a of a Christian sort of icon, but you sort
Yeah.
of doing a sort of a mixture of sort of taking sort of an iconic thing, uh, and then but putting an animalish quality to it. So, it could be, an animal head on top of a saint or anything like that, but it could just literally be, oh, I want to honor a bunny rabbit. I fully expect Sue doing bunny rabbits. I have
Yeah.
no doubt in my mind Sue is going to do something with a bunny because that's her thing, right? So it
Love
could just literally be just that. It could be part human, part animal, but the idea is to sort of evoke, uh, bring forth the spirit animal and do a little shrine for it,
it.
doing found optics and such. So now, that said, what I will say, some of the items that you're going to be using in this workshop, you're going to want to bring. Now, I know that in people have thought that Mexico's filled with secondhand stores, and it ain't, because everybody uses stuff till it can't be used no more. That said, there is stuff that can be used, and that you can go to the markets and shops. There's a few little shops. I know Marilyn loves the little teapot shop. That does have some good elements, but I'd say you would at least need the base. I think if you're using figures, like you could easily find little luchador figures, toys, animal figures, probably in the Benito Juarez market would be easy to track down, little cheap items. There's the religious store if you want to be somewhat sacrilegious and dissect some of the saints and things, from there. That you can find some pretty inexpensive saints and things there. So there is some stuff, but I would say you're going to want to have a little bit with you for sure. I definitely say the base will be the biggest challenge more than anything. Little tchotchkes, between milagros and plastic things that can be painted into what they're not, that'll be easy enough. And just remember that it doesn't really matter if, like, you're using, these don't have to be vintage looking things, because we're going to paint them to look vintage if that's your bag. So even if you find this, bright pink deer, it doesn't need to stay that way. So we can make it look rusty and old and whatever, if that's the angle you want to go to. So, all right.
Sweet. I put my website in the chat. So if anyone wants to check out the images of Michael's piece for this particular workshop, that's where they are,
Yep.
as
And
well as more photos and
what I'll also do is when I those people I this will the image of it will probably pop up onto the video, because I am saving this video. This will get loaded into YouTube and wherever else. I will insert the image in that. So, as we're saying, oh, I don't have an image, there'll probably be an image that pops up. So, um, the magic of technology. All right. Anything else, muchacha?
Not that I can think of, just that we're gonna have like super fun time.
I think
as we
so. I know
always
it's like a
do.
month and a half ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming right
What's
up.
the
Mhm.
number? What's the number right now for participants?
We're at 15.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yep.
so we're
And
sitting.
my mom is coming. She
Yay!
is going
I know I saw
to,
Andrani. I think she's
yes,
working out there right now.
Andrani's on here. She's gonna assist us again.
Good,
And
good,
my
good,
partner John is coming. He'll be around taking photos and helping out and
good, good,
as well.
good.
And my Thea Nancy actually is gonna come.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Yeah. She's gonna,
I haven't seen your aunt for well since San Cristobal. So
that's right. I know. God, that's been a while.
yeah, yeah.
That was like 9 years ago. Holy cow.
9 years
Yeah.
ago.
So she's gonna come and hang out with us too.
Cool. Fun.
I know.
All right. Well, on that note, those of you who I'd say those who I see out there who I know are coming, I'm sure you're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
Um, I think you'll have a blast. I think you'll love it. I think you'll love it, love it, love it. And you would be amazed how easy it is to get into a restaurant that time of year. And so- with big
Yep.
groups. That's the thing.
Totally.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And those people who are on the fence and were thinking about it or watching this video, you should seriously think about it. It is a lot. Oaxaca is just a magical place. It's, I don't know. I love it. There's a reason I keep coming back every year,
Yeah.
and over and over and over again, and many times a year now. It's no better place to be in my opinion. I love it.
I
So,
know.
so
Winter
this is
months
my fifth
especially.
time.
it's your
Yeah.
fifth
This is
time?
my fifth time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I know Marilyn's been there practically as many times as I have.
Yep, yep.
Give or take, give or take. Yeah. So, yeah,
I
I think
know.
I think yeah, anyone on the fence, I think you'll find it's well worth the time and
Oh,
energy
yeah.
to join. So,
Yeah.
You
I
make a
say
lot of
I
friends
leave
in
my
the group.
heart there. I leave my heart in
Yeah.
Oaxaca.
Hmm.
you're a cold soul the rest of the year, Marilyn, and then you come back and you're like, ah.
Totally. Right now, it's very cold because we're in the midst of this winter storm.
I know, I heard. Oh,
It's
ick. Another reason to
I want a winter storm. I
like,
want a
come
winter
on
storm.
down because I don't want to fucking shovel the driveway again.
oh,
I love shoveling the driveway.
You can
I
come to Kamloops and shovel my driveway.
I want to shovel my
So
driveway though.
Oh.
the problem with this storm is ice is coming out at later. We're getting ice too.
oh no.
I love sliding down the road in my car.
I tell
You
you
live at the
what,
top of a
the
mountain.
highways are covered with cars going the wrong direction and stuff, evidently. We went to church. It was a breakfast to serve unhoused people. And so we went there and we did that. And then we came home. So yeah, it's quiet out.
Yeah, see? But the cool thing about snow though, it is quiet. Like you go
Yeah.
outside and it's a silent, you have a snowy field. It's so eerie.
And my
Yeah.
orange cardinals show up much better.
Yes, your orange cardinals, exactly. She keeps telling me they're red, they're orange. Anyway.
I
All right.
only like snow for about a week and then I'm done. And really, I'm fine if I don't have it. I'll just go to Oaxaca instead.
Yeah, but that's what Oaxaca's for, is so you can get away from the snow, at least this time of year, right?
Exactly. We're at 76 degrees and lovely.
Yep. Precisely.
Much preferred and beautiful and lots of art and lovely warm people and yeah, all the good stuff.
Yep.
And all the friends you make in the group itself are wonderful because Marilyn helped me get there the first time. I was just freaking out about traveling on my own, and she really helped me. She met me in Houston, carted me around, showed me stuff. It was amazing. I thank you forever, Marilyn, because now I can go by myself and I feel okay.
Exactly. I look
Yeah.
at him and go, now Solange is going to come by herself.
I am. Well, I'm bringing my friend Una with me.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really fun.
Yeah.
But to people who haven't gone there, the warmth you get from the group itself, there's no biting criticism. There's no negativity in the groups that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And you make good friends that you know from year to year. And I really look forward to seeing people again. and again and again.
Yeah.
And you know them on Facebook, you
Yep.
almost know them better than some of your friends where you live, but you can turn them off whenever you want to as well.
I say it's just one of my families. So
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know Marilyn's favorite part of the whole trip is her sitting in the little breakfast area, just
it is.
in the little courtyard,
Yeah.
Every
and
morning.
before the day starts, just chatting with the people as they come on down. Yeah, which
Yeah.
it is actually that is actually it's a funny, because I wouldn't, I don't know if it's my favorite part, but it is a really cool part of it that everybody's just hanging out and just
But it's
shooting
the
shit in the
people
morning.
that work there too. I mean, that's what I
Oh,
love.
they're
Yeah.
lovely. Yeah.
And they remember us from every trip, and
I know.
it's
That was
beautiful.
one of the things that John really noticed. He was like, I just love how they're just so excited to see you and it's sad to see you go,
Yeah.
So sweet.
Yeah.
And they come and say goodbye when you're leaving.
I
And thank
know.
you for coming. And what?
And they bring their babies. Show, look here, I just had a baby last year, and
Yeah.
Araceli, and
Yeah.
Araceli,
Yeah.
she's been showing off her. Yeah, it's funny. It's just
And
great.
there's an Alebrijes guy that has
Yeah.
a booth in the
Yeah.
lobby, and he has beautiful pieces. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a weaver that comes too. I always buy things from them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, kids. Well, shall we call it for the day?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right.
Ta
Well,
for now,
those
everyone.
yeah, look forward to seeing those of you who were going to see those people, as I said, on the fence. You better get your butt over there.
Worth it.
Totally worth it. So
Come play in Oaxaca with us.